Hi, welcome. Ocean Chief here. Just looking at another video where I'll be doing another experiment. Just to give you a bit of background here while I load up my setup. Using the wheel, no assist. Only been using the wheel for about a month now. No assists, as I said. Manual gears, all completely new to me. I did race with medium traction control previously, but now with a wheel I just decided to go full assist off manual gears and Monaco. This is one of the most challenging circuits for most drivers. You can see it's a straight circuit, and you can see there I didn't even make it to the start finish line, so technically this is the first lap here. And the trick with the first corner there is to try to take as much off the curb as possible without getting that invalidated lap message. This bunch of corners, this sequence of corners, is fourth gear. You're looking at second gear for this one, and then with this is the slowest corner in the track at your first gear. These two corners you're taking in second gear, and then flat out under the bridge, into the tunnel, and just after the 100-meter mark board you want to brake down to third gear. And you can see in this lap here I'm just taking it very tentatively. I haven't even set a time and time trial before. The only time I played Monaco in F1 2017 was during career mode, and it probably lasted about, the race would have lasted a few minutes until I crashed and then just give up. So invalidated lap time there. It clocks in at 1:25.5. Now just to give you an idea, the very best times are 107s, 108s, 109s. So 125 is very bad, but as I say, I'm not looking to break records here. Initially I want to take it slow, I want to learn the track, see what kind of grip. As you can see in this track, it's very unusual in that it's very bumpy. So this is going to have a big impact on, say, your braking. You do tend to lock up here quite a lot, as it's so easy to just lock up even one of the wheels because of the bumps. And a bit faster here coming here. So just after 100-meter or about 75-meter, you want to brake down to third gear and carry as much speed for that sequence of corners as possible. Here up to 6 and then down to 5th. Well, I'm down to 4th there, taking a bit slow. This such a great corner to get right, but unfortunately invalidated lap time there when I slapped off the wall. So these corners here, you're both in second gear, and the idea is just to get as much momentum as possible and slingshot you into this. Now, what I've noticed about this track is, like for example, the next sequence of corners coming up in fourth gear, you really do feel like you're slingshotting. The corner's pulling you around. Now this corner is very tricky because you're going from high speed down to second gear and then here down to first gear, and the idea here is not to hit the wall like I just did there. So you want to take a little bit of curb and not hit that wall, and you want to get a nice kind of slingshot effect out of that corner. And this may well be my first actual valid lap time, but you can see there I've even beaten the previous two. And by quite a lot here. You can see so much speed or so much time being made up in that last sector there. a lot of struggle with this corner. This is so wrong to get it right. So this is like a point and squirt type of track, you know, and that you want to build a point the car to be as straight as early as possible, so you can put on maximum power. And same thing whenever you're braking, you want to be getting the best line as possible when you're approaching a corner, so you can brake to maximum effect. So the valid lap time I've got is 122.6. Now, as I said, some of the best times are like 107, 108, 109s. So that is woeful. Like, I mean, the amount of time, it's quite hard to understand. You know, once you start getting that time down, you still feel like there's a lot of time there, but when you think about 107, 108, it's just insane, really, you know. But practice makes perfect. So I'm gonna be putting a lot of practice into this. So the idea behind this video is actually just to do, you know, 19, 20 laps and to see how much I improve, because with my last video I hadn't actually played that circuit, or sorry, I had played that circuit before on the pad. I was able to set a time, but this one I never set a trial time. I only ever played this race in career mode, and usually that ended disaster. I have like Monaco, you know, on like in other games, like earlier F1 games, and it was enjoyable, and some of those you know, some of those versions of it were enjoyable. And to be honest with you, this one is actually enjoyable as well. It can just be so frustrating, because literally one hit of the wall when you're in race and you've got damage on, one tap of the wall, and that could just mean your race is over. And you add to that the fact that it's very, very difficult to pass in Monaco. But look, right here we don't have to worry about, you know, other cars. We're just able to keep getting lap times. Like, you can see there, like, even though it is so tight, it's so easy to hit the walls, that I'm not doing too bad, given this is only my 5th lap here. So I'm down to 120.162. So, and I'm already in the green there, although invalidated lap time. But you can see that first corner. Look how much speed I can make up just from getting that first corner a little bit better than the previous lap. I can make up so much speed. You want to carry as much speed as possible through corners, because a lot of these corners you need to get that slingshot effect, and it really sets you up for the, you know, for the next segment then. So a little tap on the wall there, get away with that. Let's see with this section here, you know, so after the 100 meter board, but 75 meter, you want to brake down to 3. And really, you don't want to steer like too much, so the idea is to steer as little as possible. So these little chicanes, you can see I'm just taking wide angles in and out, and that's a bad idea, because that means I'm having to put a lot of steering input in, which is meaning that I can't really get the throttle down or carry much speed. Yeah, it took too much corner. So I'd say that the first corner there, you want to take as much of the curb as possible, but you don't want to get invalidated lap time. Now, usually you can take quite a lot of curb, like a ridiculous amount of curb, but as long as you have one tire on the race circuit for that corner, it seems you can get away with it. So there's a crap load of time to be made there. Now, that hairpin is hard to gauge, you know, when you've done it correctly and when you've not done it correctly, because it's so slow. that there doesn't really feel like much difference between when you've taken it quickly and when you haven't, because you're going so slowly. So it's hard to even think that it's possible to take it quickly. And I'm starting to get the hang of that part of the track there with the fast chicane. And then it's so easy to clip that corner, but you wanna, it's like threading the car for the eye of a needle. You just want to get a perfect line. So making up a bit of time here, but not too much. 0.1 up. We're getting a nice pull around the corner. Up to 5.5. And down this slow corner. And taking it too cautiously, lost all that time there, but still could beat the lap time on this particular lap. Yeah, it's getting a bit wide on the exit of that little chicane. Purple sector there, invalidated lap time, unfortunately. You can see, like, I'm almost a second up. Yep, over a second up there. 1.2, so that's encouraging, you know, even though it's invalidated lap time, I'm seeing that I am able to make up a lot of time, even with, you know, still making quite a lot of mistakes in. So really you're just tightening up the lap. At this point I'm still very much learning the circuit, but I'm starting to get a feel for it. You see it's not as many lockups, but once you start learning the circuit you start to push the car a bit more, so even though, you know, at the start you might not be as crashing as much, you might end up crashing a lot more later on, which can be a bit discouraging at times, because you think, like, am I getting worse? But it's not the fact that you're getting worse, it's the fact that you're pushing the car to its absolute limits and beyond. Oh, and that's, see, in the race that happens, like, you're out, you know, your race is over effectively. You're probably gonna not have a front wing at this point. So you're gonna have to pit, yeah, and you know, other people are gonna have problems too. But you know, if you crash, that was well timed. Technically, if you crash, you know, in a competitive race, you're not gonna do very well at all. You just carry so much speed into that corner, you break down to 4. And you see here, I always kind of veer to the right. There's a massive bump in the road there, and you'll see on the actual F1 races on TV that they do the same there. It just totally destabilizes the car if you go over it, and then you're going straight into a corner. So 1.9 up already here. Again, exit was totally wrong there. Still 1.5 up here. It was up to about 3 seconds up, but another purple sector there. Nice to exit that corner. Even though I hit the barrier quite hard there, it allows me to keep this lap as a valid lap. So it's been a bit inconsistent there, but you see 1.3, and there was still a lot of time to be made up there. So 118.8 within 11 laps. So I'm roughly about 10 seconds off, you know, the best in terms of global leader board time trial times. So yeah, as I said before, I'm running totally no assist, manual gears, and using a wheel. And this track here is, so far, it's definitely one of the more challenging ones. But I think that even though I'm not great at this circuit just yet, that you know, even though I'm not great at this circuit as yet, that I get a better feel for the track with the wheel. On the pad, the control sticks just seem too twitchy, you know, especially in those fast chicanes at the last sector. It was just so difficult to get right. So I'm really kind of getting a feel for the amount of speed you can bring through that corner. This one is so difficult. But that wasn't too bad. That was actually one of the better attempts at that corner. Just clipped the barrier there, but didn't lose too much time from it. And I'm hanging in there with my time now. Last lap I got the chicane exited quite wrong, and again probably slightly better given the times in the green now and rising, but okay, so 0.6 up on this lap, 1 second there, so massive amount of time just in that last corner there. Okay, 1.4, massive gain, so I'm up to 117.436. Fortunately, set involved lap time there, but 117.4 within 13 laps is not too bad, not too bad. So again, just under 10 seconds, the most of the global leaderboard top standings. Now 10 seconds, that's insane, really. But you can see here that just, you know, just from another lap here that I'm gaining time on almost all corners. And it's at one lap or another, you know. I just can't get that corner wrong. Going too deep into the left. I think I'm carrying too much speed in there. And look how fast that is. You just kind of flick the car through the corner. We're in the green here, but invalidated lap time, so it won't stand. No, it wasn't going to beat my time there, but we're on the lap 14 here. So the braking point for this corner is just, you'll see a little shadow before that F1 2017 overhead banner. There's a shadow for the banner, and then there's a shadow just before that. And generally I just maybe brake a little bit before that shadow as well. Just give myself a bit more confidence. Now, hit the corner or the barrier there. And 1.7 down, but on an invalidated lap time. So really, you can just push the car here, you know, pretty good, because you're not too worried about losing out on a good lap time. You're just saying, like, see there, like half a second made up just in that one exit of the corner. 2.1. Yeah. So lap 14. Let's see here before this white banner, just for the for the shadow, just before the shadow of the F1 2017 white banner. I'm in the delta, or green in the delta here. That was not bad there. Here I haven't really figured out the braking point just yet. As I say, getting a feel for it. You know, sometimes you kind of figure out your own braking points, or you maybe watch a video and get a braking point suggestion of that, or you might use the racing lines and just kind of work it out from there. But another option is you can use, you see on the road there, it's basically laying out the telemetry of my personal best. So you know, when the dots are small, narrow, that means I'm pretty much just accelerating, and when they widen, that's when I brake. So you could use that as, you know, a reference point for braking points, and because it's my personal best, you could just go a little bit later each time just to see if you can make up time that way. Sometimes it's off-putting though, you know, because you'll find you know, if I get used to this, then I go to a race. Yeah, I'm not gonna have that information there. Then all of a sudden you're in the deep end. You don't know. So I'd say probably a good idea to, you know, turn the telemetry off and not have it constantly on, just to be able to learn the track a bit more naturally, you know. Because one thing about, you know, being in a racing league, I realize is that you kind of, you know, you'd think if you sat and did time trial all day long, you know, that would translate well into a race, but the race is a totally different deal. And time trial, for example, the handling of the car, the track, it's totally different to drive on. I'm not sure why. It's just online, you know, multiplayer is just totally different from time trial. Then you've got all the different things, like you got the length of a race. You know, you've got a limited amount of fuel, limited amount of tires, and you gotta have strategy in place for your tires. There could be rain. Obviously, there could be rain in time trial, but you get to choose that. But it's dynamic weather, so it could rain after being dry for half a race, and vice versa. So I think I beat my time there. If it didn't, this lap is looking pretty good. So you can see I got a purple first sector there. Lost a lot of time coming out of that corner. That, I believe, the hairpin there. But gaining a good bit of time here. And I can't see me making up 1.2 seconds here, but we're probably going to push. Yeah, broke too late there. I was making up a bit of time, but on to lap 18. So ideally I want to break into the 116s here. Just overcooked the brakes in that corner, but still able to make up time on my previous effort. You can see I'm matching my time, just slightly edging it right now. I almost stopped there and turned, losing a lot of time, but it's possible I can make this up. It's not too much, 0.7. .5. Yeah, I was well done. So I might be able to go in the green here in the delta. Oh, just overcooked the brakes there like the last time. Invalidated lap time. So can I break the 116s? That's the question here. The DRS active at the very start of the track. You want to get that on as early as possible. Brake before the shadow there. And just hook it in. Didn't take too much curb there, but you can see I'm in the green already. And you can see here, going up to 7th gear, down to 5th, then to 4th. Just trying to carry as much speed as possible there. Good exit. Keeping a nice tight there initially. And that, yeah, that's pretty good. So, 0.3 down on my previous best. But making a good bit of time up here. Need to get a good exit out of this corner here. Which I do. It brings me into the green. 6th down to 5th. Just trying to carry as much speed as possible. 0.25 up. 1 second up. Just in that one corner you see there. 1.1. And yeah. 116.184. So that's 19 laps. Now the first lap was 125, 126. So that's 10 seconds for Monaco. Like for any other track, you'd probably see even faster improvements, and this, I understand that is still a very, very slow lap time, but you know, given the circumstance, new wheel user, no assists for the first time, pretty much first time in Monaco. And you see as I exit out here, you can see that if you take my best sectors, you're going to get a 115.932. Anyway, thanks for watching. I might do a part 2 in this series, where I do my next bunch of laps and see how much time I can improve still on this time here. You know, so another 19-20 laps. Could it take another 5 seconds off?